Hey, what's going on, guys? Not sure if everything is up and running. I guess first time going live. I'm trying to see if anyone types in the chat. Then I'll. Hey, what's going on, guys? Started. Not sure if everything. Oops, had a echo. Forgot to muted my PC audio. Hey, what's going on, T? Will? If you could hear me good in the chat, just type in the chat. Just let me know. Then I'll probably get started. Okay. You guys can hear me? All right. Thanks, Will. All right. Let me see. Mic is not good, though. Is my microphone low? Is it high? I think that's I just have to tweak my microphone setting. Maybe I'll just increase the gain. Where's this thing at? Hold on. Change it. How about now? Is it microphone much better now? Okay. You can hear me, but it's low. Give me 1 second. I'll try to tweak a couple settings just to see if it's a little bit better. I think I just have to adjust the gain. It's good now. All right, maybe I crank it up a little bit more. Yeah, I think I cranked it up a little bit more. Hopefully that's better. All right, thanks. All right, so let me get started now. Yeah, so this is my first live. Nothing crazy organized. Just want to just give people just a brief intro myself, just to give them like some ideas like what to expect. But ultimately, what I think is, I guess for this channel, it's more going to be partially a little learning experience for me. Just going live on YouTube. I'm not a content creator, but just been watching a lot of YouTube videos and stuff like that, interacting with people from the travel community, and got some inspiration just to just record or maybe broadcast some of my travels. But I think ultimately what I plan to do is something a little bit different. Just touch more on the financial components of traveling. Basically, I'll go into some of the day to day just to explain, and so folks could see just me as an example, because I travel quite a bit, like how I fund my travels. So a lot of it will be talking about some investments and stuff that I do, kind of behind the scenes, just to like generate money, because travel is not cheap. However, whatever you generate, that's what I typically use for my travel, and try to operate within a strict budget. So for this first live stream, I'm not going to go too much into the financial components, meaning in terms of investments, options, and stuff like that. But I'm just basically just giving you guys like an idea what you guys are going to see on the channel. So quite a bit of travels, probably once or twice a month. You probably hear me say I'm probably going to take a trip, and most of it, the funds that I get from the trip, is stuff that I generate over the course of whether it's 30 or 60 days. That's what I plan to use. And in the meanwhile, hopefully some things that you guys might be able to learn from me, or also vice versa. I'll be able to learn some things from you guys, because I wouldn't call myself any experts in terms of like travel, but I think I have a decent system, at least for many years, that's kind of worked for me to fund my travels, and where I could live, what I consider like a decent, lifestyle. So more to come on that regarding the financial bit. But for this first live stream, what I'll do is just as a brief intro, I'll probably touch on, you know, where was the last place that I've been. So the last place that I've traveled to is Cuba. So you can see the flag right here on the left hand side, and then the next upcoming countries that I plan to visit is planning to go to London on Wednesday. More likely it's going to be on Thursday. I'll probably touch down. I don't know if I'll be able to live stream or not, most likely because I don't have enough subscribers, but I will capture some footage from London, and then I'll go to Paris as the next country, and then from Paris I'll go to Germany, is the third country in the rotation, and I'll probably try to wrap it up in Barcelona in Spain, and then eventually I probably have to make my way back over to London, and then I'll fly back to the States. So it'll probably be about a couple weeks, maybe 15, 16 days. I'll be in Europe, and I'll try to publish some content while I'm over there, but I can't guarantee if I could, go live or not, because I'm not going to have a PC with me that I could, go live from. So we'll see how things go. But that's what you guys could probably expect over the next couple of weeks. You could hear me perfectly on my computer. Yeah, no, I'm trying to get used to this live stream and looking at this chat, and it's my first time going live on YouTube. Oh yeah, let me pop out the chat so I can actually look at what you guys are saying. Okay, that's cool. I'll give a like. Yeah, no, I'm probably gonna forget how to, remind people to like, subscribe, and all that other stuff. But hopefully, I'll probably get help from you guys. And let me see if I could probably mod a couple of people, and then I'll start with showing you guys some stuff for my uh, most recent trip in like Cuba, and give you guys some information on I guess the type of travel that I am, and what to expect. So I'll probably start with some of the stuff that you probably won't see a lot of, and I'll just be just be honest and be frank. A lot of the times when I travel, it's not necessarily for like any nighttime activities and stuff like that. Occasionally, I'll probably go to a party here and there, but it's more like daytime activities and stuff, cultural, type things. Like that's what I, normally travel for, to just, go to as many places as possible, and, just try to see, what's different than the, culture that I grew up in. Um, leave my London tour guides alone. No, it's actually, so it's more like a family trip for London. So I'll probably pull up some of the activities that I have planned, and maybe just show you guys a couple of things that I plan to do in some of these places. And I'm in T Will's Discord. If some of you guys want to hop on a little bit later, we could probably chat, as I, pull things up. But I'm probably going to take maybe the first 30 minutes just to chat about like Cuba. What was it like? My recent experience in Cuba. How did I like it? And, whether I'm going back to Cuba. So I'll start probably there. Let me just run like a timer, and probably put up a couple of footage so you guys could see some Cuba footage that I have. So in terms of like Cuba, yeah, went to Cuba last year in December. I think in the travel community, I think there seems to be some buzz on folks going to Cuba, what's Cuba's like. I didn't know much about it. Like, can we actually go to Cuba from the United States? I didn't know. Got some info from people in the community, and just randomly go. Didn't know too much about the country. Got enough feedback from people, within T Will's Discord. If some of you guys are in the Discord, and I think it's been, I'd say, over the past 3 months, been a lot of fun. We haven't, at least some of the people are in T Will's Discord. We haven't been much on YouTube, but there's been a lot of traveling that's happening by members of the Discord, and we kind of just go live, but within the Discord, and a lot of the stuff is not shown on YouTube. However, folks who are in the Discord, is quite a bit of information that's shared, and stuff you're able to see live, and bounce around ideas. So it's been, at least for me, being in some of these Discords, like, very helpful. Collaborating with other travelers. So with me going to Cuba, someone hooked me up with a tour guide. I touched down in Havana, had a great time in Havana, and probably going to show you guys some clips. So even though I went to Havana in December, I think I renewed my passport sometime in, like, January. By the end of January, I actually doubled back and went to Cuba at the end of January. And then January, February, I was in Cuba. And then my third visit, I went back to Cuba again in March. So over the past, I would say, 4 months, I've been to Cuba 3 times. So I have some footage that I'm probably going to show, not everything. But just to give you guys an idea of, like, some of the things that I did while I was in Cuba. But most of the folks who are in the Discord, they got to see a lot of this stuff live. So I'm going to share, like, some footage of some stuff that I had captured on my phone. So let me quickly pull that up so you guys can see. What's your favorite country? It's hard to say. So I kind of have, like, this short-term bias now. Like, last year I went to DR about 9 times, and I was liking DR a lot. And then I started a year off this year, like, going to Cuba a lot. Kind of had a little change of heart regarding DR, Cuba. So I wouldn't say it's my favorite country, POV, but I'll say Cuba is up there as one of the leading candidates, just based on the type of things that I like. I think Cuba just brings that different perspective, and when I travel solo, at least, I kind of like to kind of stay away from heavy touristy areas, and explore to see what the culture is like. So I'll say Cuba's up there as one of my favorites right now. Places to go. All right, so let me show this video. Yeah, so this is like, let me get this video thing. Let me get this video thing going. So I went to Havana in December, and one thing that I did do while I was there is I went to like a car museum, and they had these
by that
old
man
cars.
over there,
So I'm gonna just play this
Mr.
video so you can see.
Spenger. He was the historian of the city. He passed away 2 years ago. This small group here, they were in different embassies. Malibu Chevrolet American, manufactured in Mexico, was at the Peruvian embassy, donated by the Peruvian ambassador. Over there, that is a Jaguar 1989, and this is a Daimler 1980. They were at the British embassy. Andrew Palmer, Nicholas Cage. No Cage, Cage, the investor. Henry Ford.
Henry Ford.
This is the Model 4T. This is the first car manufacturing line produced by Henry Ford, 1914, and it still works. Italian, Alfa Romeo, Alfetta, campione del mondo, italiano, was at the Cuban embassy in Italy. 1969 Alfa Romeo, Spider, Julieta, Velocipede.
Yeah, one thing I would say about this place, when you go, if you do get a chance to, go to Havana, you go to, one of these car museums. It's always interesting to see like how, some of these old cars from like the 1930s, 40s, how they have them preserved. And I think I didn't get to drive or sit in any of these cars, but, I did ask the guy, are these still like functional? And they say that it's still functional. So it's just up for display, but it still has the engine. I don't know how much they move it around, but I've been told like it's still, it can drive. Let me say that.
Italian. This is a very, very old toy. I remember when I was a kid, I used to drive one like this. They came from the Soviet Union.
Okay.
This kid here was manufactured by this Cuban handicraftsman here with this poster made in Cuba. Camilo Cienfuegos and his personal bodyguard. You see, it still works.
Oh wow, they started up that old school car. Engine still works. Yeah.
This small car was manufactured for kids and it still works. This is a four-stroke engine, accelerator and brakes. This is like a model 14 1909 small for kids.
Okay.
Over there, Cadillac, LaSalle, 1931, 1930. They belong to the same company.
Boys.
Cadillac Motor Company. V16, V8 engine.
V16, boys. Yeah. Oh wow.
It's like a truck. It's a fucking truck.
Yeah, so while I was recording this video, I was actually live with some people in Discord. So when you hear me talking, who I'm talking to is basically whoever was on, T-Will's Discord at the time. They were seeing this live. So I basically have two phones up, one, showing folks in Discord live when I'm doing it, and the other phone I was using to capture this video that I'm showing right now.
Mack truck. Talking about truck, this is a Mack truck, 1915, chain transmission, like a bicycle.
See the chain transmission, guys? See the chain?
They were introduced here after the First World War. One more time, this is the Model 4A 1930, which was named by Lincoln. That was a way of marketing. Both cars belong to the same company, Ford. This is expensive, this is a cheap. They used the name of the expensive car in order to sell this cheap car
Baby
more
Lincoln.
expensive. Was a way to get more money.
Oh man,
Look,
it's a
Henry
knockoff.
Ford is over there. Henry Ford, 1918 Model T, 1914 Model T. That Model T, this is the place of that Model T. The one that is covered is a restoration. It's a Model 4A 1930, and this is a Maserati 1957, belonged to one Manuel Fangio.
Maserati,
yes,
guys.
Maserati.
1957.
Was a famous Argentine racer, 5-time championship Formula 1, who was kidnapped here in Cuba at the 50th decade by Fidel's group. This replicant was donated by him and is made of fiberglass.
Fiberglass, oh wow. That's crazy.
We have here, this is a small truck, Republic, 1914. Belonged to that man over there in the picture, Carlos Morales Hernandez, and his family. He was a Cuban farmer. Dodge Brothers. It's a funeral car. Was found in Bayamo.
So it's a funeral car.
Yes, Bayamo is a city and belonged to Granma Province.
Pretty
1924.
complicated setup.
Like
I'm
Frank.
hoping as I get a little bit better, I
Willis
kind of have
Overland.
a better
Willis
setup.
Overland was an American
Maybe a
company. Never
phone
before
that has
such
a
beauty
better
and
camera
quality for
than
so
what
little
I'm
money.
using currently.
Whippet, 1926. This is Willis. Willis is a Jeep. It's a kind of Jeep We have a lot of them on the street. This is the grandfather of this car, Willis, the Jeep. This company doesn't exist
Willis.
anymore. This is a 1928 Ford A. This is the
Ford.
follower of Model T.
Okay. Yeah.
1930 Packard 733 Standard A, American car, mafia's car. You see the picture? The gangsters, the mafia at the time.
Said
were
it's the
talking
mafia
about,
cars.
Yeah, 20s, 30s decade.
Yeah. Mafia cars, he says.
And it's also a hotel. This family, Packard, they used to build hotels in Cuba, US, and different parts of the world. But there was a member of this family who designed this model of car, very, very expensive at the time. American, Model 4A 1931. This man here was a famous human writer. He passed away a long time ago. His name was Alejo Carpentier. He used to drive his car during almost 30 years because he used to live in France. You see, this is the diplomatic plate.
Okay.
German, Mercedes-Benz, 1956, 190 SL. Belongs to Camiones en Fuego. Texaco, Shell, Sabre, all the gasoline companies that
So
were
all
in
the,
Cuba at the time.
he said all of the gasoline companies that were in Cuba at that time.
They left the country after the Cuban Revolution.
Yeah.
You guys know how
We have
expensive
here
gasoline
this
now is
picture,
in
the
Cuba.
first cars introduced in Cuba. This is a French car, this is a German. They don't exist anymore. 1911 manual gasoline pumps, American. Cheever and Baker Company, Springfield, Massachusetts, Ohio, US.
Ah, they got a manual gas pump. You gotta crank it, guys.
Back in the
Get the
days,
gas.
Good for muscle.
for you to be able to get gas.
This is a
at
wooden
the-
Cadillac,
crankshaft,
1905,
pump
and
your
the owner was
gas.
Spanish, Ernesto Serra, a very rich man at the time.
It's wooden.
Over there, first woman that gets a driver's license in Cuba, Maria Calvo Nodalce. She was known as La Macorina.
Okay.
Pope's car, Francesco. The first Pope that visited Cuba was John Paul II in 1998. The second, Benedict XVI, and the last Pope, Francesco, Argentine. He came here in 2016, and he used
Must
both
look
cars,
heavy.
Havana, Ordin, Santiago, Peugeot
Yeah, I
206.
don't know, man. Be really tired
Entonces,
pumping
Pope
gas.
was here.
You had to
Raspando ahí. Y el restaurante ahora, a ver, viendo un poco. Ahí nada más. Claro. This is a French car, plastic, Citroën Harry. This woman here, and there is the same woman driving in this car. She was Celia Sanchez Mandalay, and she also was Fidel Castro's private secretary. She used to drive both cars, this plastic and this Oldsmobile 1960. In this collection, I love two cars. That Cadillac and this beautiful Oldsmobile 1959.
Oh wow, they got an Oldsmobile,
Both
boys.
cars look similar. Look.
Ah. They preserved this thing. Yeah, I'm gonna go try to get a close footage.
It's the same mechanism. Air conditioner, both.
I think that
It's
Oh,
air
this, that,
conditioner
and the
back
Cadillac.
in
Automatic.
1927 is crazy.
Electric chair.
Okay.
An electric
You
chair.
see that bottom
I
there?
got electric
so
chairs
old
back
back
there.
in
bottom?
the day.
Ah, you see.
And there are three more here. Electric window.
Wow.
And all this material,
They
all
had
this
electric
tapestry
windows back there?
is original. Camilo Cienfuegos car.
Wow.
He used to drive the Mercedes and this 1959 automobile. Soraya me vio todavía abriendo la puerta y se me fumó una perreta. Soraya me vio abriendo la puerta y se me fumó una perreta. No, puerta los carros.
That's crazy. They had that back in the 50s, dude.
Back in
Mira,
the
si mi hermana
50s. Condition.
Check this out. This is a 1929 Fiat.
1929 Fiat. It's the Fiat there. Wow.
The black is a Chevrolet 1927, one of the first. Introduced here.
Say plastic. I think he did. Yeah, he did say plastic.
4A, and this is the most expensive car here. This is a British car, Rolls-Royce Phantom, 1925.
We got a 1925 Phantom, boys. You see the Phantom?
Yeah, this is a 1925 like Rolls Royce. This is the most expensive car they have in the museum.
6 in line.
You said this is the most expensive car in here. It's a Phantom.
2 sparkle in each piston. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 12 and 12. 6 in line.
V16?
V6.
V6.
No, 6 in line.
Vixen,
no,
6 in line. Yeah, yeah. See. That's pretty powerful. Let me get a close up of this Rolls Royce.
The black one, MG, Maurice Garage.
I want to see the
This company used to be British. Chinese bought this company and they are manufacturing electric cars. This automobile was used by one of the most famous Cuban singer, Benny Moré. He was known as the Barbarian of the Rhythm.
Okay.
His car.
Let me show you guys the back of it.
Mafias. This is the real Mafia's car. 1924 Packard, American. This here. 1929 4A, American too. And this is the famous London Taxi.
So this is a Mafia car right here.
London Taxi,
London Taxi.
1974.
Yeah, so when I go to London on Thursday, I'm gonna look to see if I can find a museum or find a place where they have similar cars like this that they've preserved. It's a little side mission I'm gonna be on. I don't know if I'm gonna be successful or not, but I'm curious if I could find something similar to this in London.
Model Fairway. This car was black. They restored the car and changed the color. Donated by British men. There's a lot.
But for those who you just dropped in, I'm basically just showing a car museum from Cuba that's in Havana
Space
right
inside.
now.
Everything is to the right because it's a British car.
See.
This is way here.
It's a British car.
There is a special seat here for people who deserve special attention. Then the family or the wife or whoever, take the wheelchair and put the wheelchair here with the luggage.
Wow, they had that thought out in the 30s, guys. Car for people who has wheelchair. That's crazy.
Dime. Que espere, ahora que espere. Que espere, porque yo fui ahí lo que sí, dile que no es. A mi favor, ¿cómo no es? Tiene que ir por el costado. Harley Davidson motorcycle.
Motorcycles.
Yes.
See.
This is a 1944 Harley Davidson.
Harley Davidson.
I love
This
this.
is a Harley.
This is a 1955 Harley Davidson.
This Harley's right here.
But Fulgencio Batista was the president before Fidel Castro, and his police department used to drive this motorcycle. 1947 Harley Davidson. Italy, Ducati, 1977. It's a present that someone gave.
It's an Italian. The Italians always design some nice looking things.
I don't like this.
It's like a wooden bike. Like, who would even think of to construct a wooden bike? This is unique. You're not gonna find too many of this in the world. A wooden bike. Crazy. Looks amazing. They got it in like pristine condition.
This is a wooden bike.
It's a wooden bike, guys.
Yeah. Dime.
It's a wooden bike.
See?
That's wooden.
Idea.
That's wood.
Just a minute, my friend.
See. Yeah, this is wood. I'm touching it right now. It's wood. This is wood.
You can see with the brakes and everything.
Nah, the tire's not wood, but the bike is wood.
These two companies, this is a Greek company, Cocomat, and this is a Cuban company. Both together are manufacturing these bikes made of
It
bamboo
says made in Cuba.
and
Bamboo.
wire. I don't like them. They cost about 5,000 euros. It's too expensive for me.
He said these cost 5,000 euros if you want one of these bikes.
And this is
Said it's
very
5,000
comfortable.
euro.
Those two companies, a Cuban company and a European company, they teamed up and they're mass producing these bikes. I don't know. I've never seen anything like this. It's my first time. But maybe it's mainly just
1948
Europeans
Harley
that
Davidson.
are purchasing those bikes.
Ahí viene.
It's another Harley right here.
This is a German motorcycle.
Good until it rains. Yeah. After it rains, it's
From Germany.
yeah, it might not be a good sighting for you. Probably have to keep wiping it off and it gets dirty and all that stuff. Maintenance might be a little bit different.
1982.
Difficult.
Kawasaki Jet Ski, one of the first.
First of the kind jet ski.
Oh, let me show you. These two vehicles and Ducati belong to Fidel Castro. He never used them.
Said it belonged to Castro, but he never used it.
4-stroke.
Okay.
It's new.
Okay.
Jet ski.
It's new. I love it. This is for land
Yes.
and water. Amphibia, Spanish.
Agua?
Agua and tierra. Land and water.
Wow, this said this is land and water.
Amphibic. When this vehicle gets into the water, this is the level of the water, and the wheels move the vehicle.
Yeah, so he's explaining to me like
This is
this
the kind of
vehicle,
fiberglass.
you
The
could
small
drive it on
chain
land,
Fiberglass.
and it's
truck
also
engine is in here,
the water.
and this is the
as well.
direction. You move here, and the wheels turn like a war tank, like this.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so that's it for the the video, and I have a couple other clips. So that's just one thing that I did while I was in Havana. But a lot of times, what I like doing is mingling with local people. So I'm gonna probably show you a couple of clips, a couple of places that I've went. A restaurant that I went to, which I thought was very cool. Show you a little clip. This restaurant. So it's so this restaurant is in Havana. I totally forgot the name of it. I'm probably gonna post it in the description. But in this restaurant, at least for me, what's cool about it is to think that something like this exists in Cuba. Like at each table, there's a tablet that I'm showing right here that you just place your order. And you could order on this tablet, and it has robots within the restaurant, and the robots will just deliver your food. But this is just a quick clip just to show you of what the display looks like and a little bit of the scenery of the inside of the restaurant. And also what's good about this restaurant is it has Wi-Fi, has really good Wi-Fi. So, when you go to Cuba, you do learn that, internet, seems to be, it's not what you're accustomed to, right? So they do have internet. However, stability is a big problem. Yeah, so this was a restaurant. It's just me just, bouncing through the different menus and the prices. Not super expensive like this place, but like I said, the fact that it has air conditioner, Wi-Fi, you don't find too many restaurants like that in Cuba. Or more importantly, like they have a robot that comes and just deliver your food. So I'll get the name of this restaurant, but it's it's near San Rafael, that boulevard. I think it's like 1 block away from the boulevard. You could go to this restaurant. It's kind of cool. Another thing that I did, went to this rum museum. This is like the outside. I'm not going to show the inside because they say some stuff because of secrets and stuff like that. They don't want you to record. But this is the outside. And it's more or less, a lot of these museums are not very expensive. This is the outside, and they do have tours on certain frequency, and I'll probably try to pause the video the place here, you can see the different price points, but the difference between the prices is just, you know, what type of rum or how much alcohol you want. That's what the difference is. But more or less, you know, everyone goes through and have like a similar experience in terms of a tour. So it's probably really blurry. My bad camera.
These are the prices.
Better angle. So you can see for locals, it's like I should be able to get a better footage. Okay, yeah, this is probably a little bit better. For locals, it's, you know, 120 pesos, and now it's roughly, what, 500 pesos is $1. So, you know, locals are paying 120 pesos. That's basically like 24 cents, right? It's less than a quarter that they're paying. But for tourists, we basically fall under, a foreigner, you basically fall under this bucket from like 1,200 pesos, which is $2.40, like $2.40, you know, roughly $2.50, $5 roughly. Like, it's still like very, very cheap to go on this tour, and it goes up until, you know, 9,000 pesos, which is like $18. But you probably get a, you know, a bottle of rum or something like that if you know, pay for the you know, most expensive option. But this is, you know, definitely a cool place to go if you curious of how, you know, rum is made and, you know, the fermentation process. They do go over it a lot in this museum, and there's some, you know, video that they show. It's kind of interesting. They talk about Bacardi, how Bacardi actually started out in Cuba, you know, before it went to Puerto Rico. So you learn a little bit about the history of Bacardi when you go to this tour. But yeah, this is definitely something I'll probably recommend if folks are trying to look for some daytime activities / tours to do while they're in Havana, Cuba. Thing that I'm gonna show is I was able to catch the ferry when I was out there in Havana. So this is a little footage of the ferry. I think the last time I was been in a ferry was when I was in Italy going to Capri, and, you know, taking the ferry to the island Capri. But yeah, they have ferries out there in Havana. And it's like super cheap. I think this is probably the cheapest thing you could get in Havana. I think it costs like 10 pesos, which is just a couple pennies if you translate it back, convert it back into dollars. Let me see. And Havana was cool, like going there on my first trip and all the, you know, various things that I did. But, you know, my second trip, when I went back to Cuba, I did decide to go to a different location. So instead of, you know, going back to Havana, I did decide to go to Santiago to basically branch out of the tourist area. And I would say, you know, though Havana was cool, was kind of fun, I think I had, you know, more fun in Santiago. It was less tourists, but, you know, got a chance to interact with more local people. So I am going to show some footage from Santiago. And also I went there, and, you know, my birthday was coming up at the time. So I did get caught in Santiago for my birthday. So let me show a couple clips from, you know, Santiago. Let's see. This is like a yeah. Maybe next time when I go, I'm a little bit better at recording videos. So I think that's something that you guys point out, like hold your phone horizontally, not vertically. Like, so I'm still like learning. So luckily, I was able to meet some people in Havana, and they did invite me to come to their hometown in Santiago. So they're a little bit further out from the center of Santiago, and this is called La Maya, and this is basically out in the Campo in Cuba. So it's very. I'll recommend you start out in Havana. This is very rural. Electricity is is like a big problem there in comparison to Havana, and then phone service, yeah, sometimes it's just completely non-existent.
Sí, sí.
So this is partially what it looked like. I'll show you guys a radio that they were setting up for my birthday. While I was out there, it was kind of cool. These people are, I would say, very welcoming. Free this way. And joking around, and I call this like their Uber in the like countryside. It's like a horse. You're in this like cart, and basically went to, I guess, their market side, and we bought like chicken and stuff like that. We were trying to make it back to the house. And in Cuba, you see folks drink a lot of beer, especially during the daytime. People are always drinking. So this was, their I'll call it like, their public transportation. Like a lot of the roads, the infrastructure is not great, but for horses and donkeys and stuff like that is not a problem. But some areas you would see there's not that many cars. The roads are, uneven. It would be very difficult for cars to navigate. So you probably see a lot more motorcycle when you're in the countryside, and not as many cars. Let me see and show you, just a radio. And folks are setting up.
Hola.
Vecino. Música, hoy es su cumpleaños.
Coño.
Dale, Chicho, ¿cómo es esto?
A mí me tengo que poner.
Let me see. I think I have a different one. Another clip. This one. So this is like a, if any appreciation for old school and like the wiring and stuff like that. This is their radio that they had, and you could see the speaker. This is probably a more modern speaker, but they're basically setting up the music for a party that we're gonna have like later in the night. So it's cool. I've never had a party before or something, like to think that you're gonna be in a certain spot. There's not going to be any electricity. I did bring some battery packs when I'm out there, and I was able to keep a lot of their devices like powered up like throughout the night. But even though there was no power, it was never an issue. People still had a good time. So it was, for me at least, like going out to the countryside, it's just just, to get away from, what you consider normal. Just seeing how people are living and, their day-to-day life, it's kind of what, resonate with me, and just see, things that, that we're, some of us are probably a little bit more fortunate, and, we take for granted, and just see what, some of these folks have, but they just make it work. It's not much, but, they preserve, everything that they have.
Bluetooth mode. Play ITF cover.
See.
And so that's the music that they got going. Yeah, so that's for the music. And then on my third trip, when I, triple back, I think on my third trip, I'll probably show you, some of the things that I got. Don't give away all the game in one live. No, it's just a couple of clips. I'm gonna show one other clip. My third time out there. Pull up.
It's a
Went
pretty
to
decent
Varadero. So
tourist
this is
spot.
probably the last clip I'm showing, and I'm
I guess you could get some
move
nice
on and talk about what my
photos.
future plans are.
The beach. Just go.
Varadero is a very nice, place to go. I'll definitely go back to this spot. I was only there for a day.
They sell some pina colada right there. I just got one for
Just there for 2
200
days.
pesos.
Touchdown one day and then left the next day.
Which is basically 40 cents.
But the beach
But I also
is,
did it to get some small bills. So I only had $1,000 bills.
beach is very nice. You can see the water.
You can basically see the beach right here. The beach looks amazing. My goodness. The beach looks good.
And since the, I don't know if you guys are following the recent events or what's going on in Cuba, since a lot of the tourists, a lot of Europeans, Canadians have left. That's why you see the beaches are so empty. There's, this is probably definitely a touristy area, and there are not that many people there because most people left with the fuel issues. So I think folks who live in Florida, they're pretty fortunate, and they're not that far away from like Cuba. It's just a 45-minute flight over to Havana, and the airlines, at least American, you don't necessarily have to worry about the fuel situation. Just refuel in the U.S. and you could touch down in Cuba and return without having to like refuel. However, flights that are coming from Europe, I think they have a little bit more. They have more potential issues and may have to refuel maybe in Panama, or if you're coming from Canada, you have to stop somewhere else and potentially refuel. But going back and forth between Florida and Havana, just such a short distance that refueling is not an issue. Just see the water. It's pretty calm, very nice. So the first time when I saw this beach, I don't know if you guys or some of you guys have been to Barajibe in Dominican Republic. It's near La Romana. That's what this beach kind of reminds me of. In terms of the
lunch break or what happened?
Yeah, so these were, I think, Russian tourists, basically just taking pictures. Yeah, so I do have, quite a bit of footage that, might be able to chop up and see what kind of video I can make of
Russians.
my time in Varadero, um, and Havana, and more to come on that. But I just thought I would just show you guys some clips of some stuff that I recorded while I was there. So let me switch over. I'm gonna try to slide out there to see your homegirl. Oh no, that's kind of, yeah, that's cool. That is very cool. So I'm gonna, yeah, burrito, or for those folks who are in the chat, or if you guys are in T Will's Discord, I'm gonna jump into Discord, and then I'm gonna chat about my plans for like next week. So on Thursday, I'm gonna head out to London. I'm gonna touch down in London, and I'm gonna probably put up my itinerary so you guys could see, roughly what I'm thinking about doing, and how I'm hoping that things play out. So let me put up I guess my itinerary, this part of it, so you could see. And I'm gonna just talk you guys through this, what I plan to do. All right, so let me take this off. Okay. And the background. Yeah. So you guys could probably let me know if you could see this, or maybe I have to zoom in, make it a little bit bigger so you guys can see. Finish the job. Yeah, yeah. Let me. I'm gonna jump over to Discord. I think my sound's deafened, but if you guys want to jump on and stuff like that, but yeah, I'm gonna just explain to people, what I plan to do here. And this would probably be what I'll consider, maybe this is my first like YouTube trip, right? So I went live before, going on this trip. So this would be my first trip. So I'm planning it out. I'm going to be in Europe for a couple of weeks, and well, you know, most likely I'm going to touch down on Thursday in London. So I'm going to touch down in London, and then from London, at the airport, you have uh, you have a train. So we'll take a train to uh, Paddington, and basically my hotel is close to Paddington. I might be able to have to take a Uber after after getting off the train. I don't know. We'll see. This is more like a kind of like a family trip for me. So we'll see if we want to walk, or we just want to just take a Uber to this hotel. So another thing that I'm going to do, and just to give you guys like a high level summary, because I know people might ask, what's the budget for this trip? A lot of the things at a very high level, I am going to just capture some prices, and we'll see. Or maybe I'll ask you guys, based on, the list of things that I'm going to show you here, like roughly, you think how much the cost of this 2 week trip to like 4 countries in Europe will cost. So, like I said, I touched down on Thursday morning, and then after touching down on Thursday morning, I plan to go to this museum, National Gallery. And what's good about London is, just from looking, a lot of the museums I see are like free. So we'll see how how that works out. But I try to capture like some footage while I'm there, or near one of these museums. You don't want to give people the actual details of your location and time eventually. Yeah. I think I could probably write this down now, but I'm just for my first live, right? Just me writing things down and like rough timing that I'm trying to do things. Yeah, but in the future, probably not gonna have time, but just maybe just a list of things that I plan to do. But no, thanks for pointing that out, Burrito. But this is just something that I've been jotting down and Google Sheets and just looking to see if I'm gonna have enough things to keep me busy like each day. Yeah, so just a museum, like another museum later in the day, British Museum where they have Rosetta Stones. You could see some mummies and stuff like that. So we'll see. Like I've heard like a lot of good feedback about some of these museums. So we'll see what it's like when I get there, and then a few other sightseeing like places. Sky Garden, they have like a skyscraper view, and in the evening time, I plan to go to some food market. So that's what I'm hoping to do. Wherever I go, I normally try like some of the food. I've been to Ireland before and I've had like the English breakfast. Not like a huge fan of it. So what I'm hoping to do is, while I'm in London, maybe get some Jamaican food or some other type of food just to see, what that's like, what it tastes like. But I'll let you guys know how the food situation is, but I'm not really looking forward to it in London, that is, in terms of food. And then there a cathedral that I plan to go to, which is free, and then like more museums. So it's just family oriented things like during the daytime, and then some stuff during the evening, and then maybe I branch off by myself during the night and see if I could capture some solo content at that point. So that's what my plan is for like London touchdown on Thursday. I have a whole bunch of stuff to do until Saturday in the evening, and then I leave on Sunday. Leave on Sunday. Got to catch the train to Paris, so it's about a 2.5 hour drive. I think I was looking at it. I might be able to show. Looking at this thing just to try to figure out like when should I come back or what makes sense. So it's basically looking at where you're basically coming from somewhere around here. Let me zoom in. Somewhere around here, and then you're just basically taking the train. Goes over. Land here, and like Paris, it's like 2.5 hours, and it's pretty expensive considering when I think about the train. I'm like, yeah, the train is not gonna run you more than $100, but it's not cheap. To even though it's just taking the train, I think you could see the price is 155 euros. So it's going to run you like $165, to do country hopping. Let me call it that. So to hop from London, from England, all the way over to Paris, that's what it would probably run you. So I prefer to take the train in this example because it's only 2.5 hour. Ride on the train. But for other trips that are much further, like last year, I did this. Maybe I'll zoom out and I'll probably show you guys what I did last year. What did I do last year? So last year, I was in Zurich in Switzerland, like all the way down here, right here. And then I went from Zurich all the way to Paris. So and it's about like a 4-hour train ride, and I was like, oh man, took a long time. So some things that where the train ride is like, I think like 4 hours is probably my cutoff. If it's gonna be more than 4 hours, I'm just gonna fly. So on this these trips, like some of it, I'm basically let me see, I'm basically flying as well. Some of it I'm going to the airport and I'm flying. So this is just train, and then I have some activities that I want to do when I'm in Paris. So some of you guys, if you guys have been to Paris before, like yeah, the Eiffel Tower. Since this is not my first time, going to Paris, I'm not gonna check out the Eiffel Tower. I do have quite a footage, videos, pictures of the Eiffel Tower. So they have a boat that you could eat lunch and dinner. I don't think they serve breakfast. Pretty popular. I think last time when I was in Paris, I rode on this boat for breakfast, and it was for lunch, and it was cool. You get to just go straight along the river. Get to see people just hanging out, just eating, and just eat lunch. Pretty relaxing. I plan to do like their nighttime, sailing. People say it's a little bit better at night. You could probably see the Eiffel Tower. It's lit up at night, so I'm curious to see what that's like. Because last time when I was in Paris and I went to see the Eiffel Tower, it was during the daytime. So they have that, and then which is basically something like this that they're offering. You just gotta pick. I don't know if they have it here. No, the menu, what they offer for you. And they do give you like champagne or whatnot, and it's almost like all you could, at least a full bottle. You could drink as much as you want. They're not like tripping, but it's roughly, what's the price of it? It's probably like 100, 105, 105, $110 per person. I think this would probably run you. But no, I would definitely recommend it if you're with your significant other. Something pretty relaxing, something pretty chill to do. And you finish, checking out the Eiffel Tower. This place is, very close by. So let's get back here. So then this is like another spot. Yeah, another. Oops, they don't let me scroll down. Another food thing. So me going to Paris is just food and a couple places that I haven't had a chance to see that I'm probably gonna check out, and then I'm probably gonna take the train again to go from to go from from Paris to like Germany. Actually, and then no, I'm actually gonna fly. Yeah, I'm actually gonna fly, possibly. We'll see. So it's, if I pull back up the map, where's the map? Let me pull back up the map. Yeah, so to go all the way over to Germany, yeah, I'm probably gonna fly. Yeah, to this is probably not a it's not a short ride on the train if you try to take the train. Let me see. Actually, let me see. If this is a destination, let's just see. Just type a place in Germany. Just see how long it will take. see it's like a 8 hour train ride. So that's why I didn't do train. I'm gonna, fly, because I don't want to waste pretty much a whole day just being on the train. So last piece. Let's see. And then Germany, I'm looking forward to Germany. Still mapping out like what am I gonna do in Germany for about at least from like Wednesday to Saturday, roughly. I'm probably gonna be there. I know I'm gonna check out, a few of their castles, and we have some bike tours that are scheduled. So that's what I'm gonna do. Some ride around on a couple of bikes, and maybe what I might get a chance to do is I might be able to go over to Austria. So depending on how timing is, where I'm at, I might try to sneak over to Austria for a day, check that out, and then come back, head back over to Germany. So it's mostly, like I said, museum, daytime activities, stuff that I have planned, and just a lot of sightseeing. And I'm also trying to check out this marketplace. So everywhere that I'm going, I'm always going to try to check out some marketplace, and we'll see what the food is like, going to Germany. So we'll see, how I feel from that. And then, after that, I think we'll wrap it up with the last country touchdown in Barcelona. So if you look on the map, look and you're like, you're going all the way to Barcelona, and I'm all the way up here. This is another flight, right? So I'm going from Germany to Spain, and it would have taken crazy amount of time, over a day, if I try to train or something along those lines. So this is another flight again. So while I'm over in Europe, I plan to, like I said, do 2 flights. So from Paris to Germany is a flight, and then from Germany to not Madrid, it's more like Barcelona is going to be another flight, and then I'll do some activities in Barcelona, and then I have to do another flight because I need to go all the way back to London, right? So I'm going all the way back here. So yeah, no, looking forward to this trip. Like, other than Paris, like all these other countries I haven't been. So I'm very curious to see, what it's like, being in some of these places, and more importantly, what the food is like being in some of these spots. Last year, I went to Switzerland, and then from Switzerland I went to Paris, and then from Paris I went to Belgium, and then from Belgium I took the plane back to Switzerland last year. And out of these 3 countries, I would say Belgium was like my favorite spot out of the 3 last year in terms of food. I'll say also costs. Belgium wasn't as expensive as some of these spots, depending on where I was staying. And in Brussels, being right there, like quite a few things you're able to see being in Brussels. The architecture, and I don't know. I think maybe also the UN headquarters. Maybe fact check me on this. Is in Brussels, but Brussels was pretty cool to see. So we'll see how I feel like coming back. If it's gonna be, I'm gonna say, oh, I prefer London for whatever reason, or it's gonna be Paris again. Didn't have great experience last year in Paris, and that's why I'm kind of like doubling back to Paris just to see, how I feel. And Germany would be definitely completely new to me as well. And then hit up a Spanish speaking country, hit up Spain. So that's pretty much what I have planned for that I'm gonna start next week, and it's just gonna be me just being on the road. But in the meanwhile, like being out there, one of the things like when being on a vacation, or especially if you're not working, and when you're overseas, it's you don't have any money coming in, and you're just spending money, every single day. Like depending on how you budget or set things up, that may be problematic. But what you will see is, and I will chat about, like even though I'm gonna be overseas, I am going to be trading, and I am going to be doing stuff to generate money, right? While I'm gone and being overseas. And I'm always trying to focus on just always having some type of cash flow, some type of money coming in. And it's not just, I call it like a one-way loop where I'm just spending, not having anything come in. Because, I think that's where you kind of could run into issues, like depending on how you budget and balance certain things. And also Europe, as a whole, it's not like you're going to a developing country. It's first world country, and it is going to be like ultra expensive. So we'll see what the damage is like. Me hitting one, two, three, four countries over the next couple of weeks. See whether I could stay within a budget. I have a certain number in mind of what I want to spend, but we'll see if I could be disciplined and maintain, my budget. A lot of these things, or a lot of times when I go to Europe, a lot of the things I try to pay for ahead of time, other than food day to day. A lot of activities I try to pay for before I go to the trip. So whatever pocket money that I have is not to necessarily pay for activities. Most of the times it's just transportation and food. I try to do it that way, like just in case like something does go wrong, I'm low on cash. A lot of these activities I've already paid for them, so I could still do them, versus going there and like constantly, paying for like certain things, and, running low on money, and I have to cut, certain activities short because, just low on funds. You would be waiting. Yeah. It's all, I'll try to jump on the Discord certain days. POV, I did take your advice. I did buy, I did have purchase a new mic, so I do have that mic. I'm quite the noob, so I'm still fooling around, trying to be able to use certain things, and hopefully, like with me, everything is just learnings, right? So I think as I get more practice, a lot of repetitions, I'll just get better and better, be able to like improve on what I'm doing, and things just start out rough, but more importantly, I'm hoping over the next couple of months to learn some stuff, right? So the more I learn, the better visuals I'll be able to provide to you guys. But I think more on the financial end, I think that information I feel pretty confident about. I'll be able to share with certain people, maybe provide some other insights of some stuff that folks could do, like money related. So travel does have a cost. And I think it's important that we, kind of be, financially responsible, and, do pay attention and do budget and certain things, and, do, what's, well within our means. And, you don't have to be like super rich to like do some of these things, but, it does take, some type of discipline, and you do have to like save money. And I know, some folks might say, I already have so many bills, how could one be able to save like, extra money to be able to do all these other things? And I think that's where, I'm hoping that I could, add value and provide some insights to folks on certain things that um, they might not be doing currently, but they can do, and they, can help save like a couple $200-300 here and there, and a lot of these things, add up, and ultimately, the goal is, if you start planning things out and saving and having like a plan, you could eventually do all these things, and it's not, well out of the possibilities, right? And especially with, flights and a lot of the deals that are out there, with take some careful planning, but you can, find some cheap flights, and some of these expensive places you can move around, and you'll be surprised, in terms of like price point. But keep in mind, like I said, I'm not the type of person that do the nightlife activities, and I do understand, some of that stuff with like alcohol and stuff is on up there, in terms of price points. Like you would never hear me say buying bottles and stuff like that. Like that's not why I travel. If I end up going to a party, stuff like that, yeah, that's great, but I'll never let that be my focus or why I'm going to a certain spot. It's more cultural type things, and maybe if I meet someone or have a tour guide and they say, oh, we have this festival or this type of event that's going on, and I eventually go there, I think, that's probably how you would catch me in a certain spot, but it would never be my initial like plan. It would be like me just, going with the flow and eventually, landing at a certain spot. But I am gonna, try to wrap this up. I know this is my, first live. Wanted to get some reps under my belt. So I think this was, kind of cool to do. And what I hope to do is most likely, I'll say, if not Thursday, definitely by Friday, I guess expect to, hear something from me, or at least at a minimum once per week. I'm gonna try to drop something. I don't have a lot of subscribers, so going live is not an option, but I'll see what I could do. But I'll try to get, some footage that I'll probably post, and it's mainly gonna be like just, average encounter with someone. I don't know what it's gonna be like being in London, but I'll have the camera rolling, right? We'll see what it's like, me walking the streets out there, certain places, right? We'll see what that's like, But I'll do some some homework just to make sure I'm not like putting myself in harm's way. But I am curious to see, what it's like, being in London. Paris, I've seen quite a bit. I feel pretty good. I could walk around, record some stuff in Paris, but London, no experience. In Germany and, Madrid, that's gonna be a first for me. No beers in La Maya. No, I didn't have any beers in La Maya. I did drink one when I was in Havana, but not the, person type that you hear me drinking a lot. So, but I don't have a problem with, folks drinking. It's just not, something that I do unless it's a special occasion. So I'm gonna just look at the chat for like the last 20-30 seconds, and then I'm last couple of minutes, and then I'm gonna try to just wrap this up, and then I'll probably catch you guys next week. I do get a chance to go live, so yeah, if you guys have any questions or anything from the chat, just type it. Let me try to pull up the chat again. Hey, what's going on, Conceited? But yeah, no, T Will, Burrito, Will, POV and Conceited. No, I appreciate you guys, stopping by, watching it. Great live, question mark. Nah, it's my first live. It's learning experience and improve. Things would get better. I just wanted to just go live just to get some reps under my belt, right? So a lot of things with me is you'd see I'll just regardless of whether I'm ready or not, I'll just do it, right? And I just do believe that you should always be open minded and just try something, right? And just keep trying at it, and you get better over time after some reps, but no one is perfect. It should be cool. I invited all my tour guides. Oh, you invited all your tour guides? Nah, that's cool. I'm looking out for some of your trips. I know some folks are now in Cuba, and I think what T Will created or having stuff on the Discord. I think that's kind of cool because some stuff that can't be shown on YouTube, but we do have a lot of fun and chat about a lot of interesting topics on the Discord, or at least for me. I think hearing a lot of you guys talk about AI and utilizing AI for certain things definitely rubbed off on me and kind of inspired or motivated me to look into this AI thing. And I'm slowly incorporating it in things that I do. I don't use it every day, but like I said, I've basically dabbled, used it a little bit, and I could see how utilizing AI can be very helpful and being a good assistant for some of the things that we do regarding gathering information or writing something, various task, I would say. Yeah, it's a good one. We got action. Yeah. No, that's cool. But yeah, no, I appreciate you guys stopping by, and I'll try to give a heads up on when is the next live. Have something really structured. I know I told some folks I was going to go live yesterday, but I end up learning, right? And I think this is how this channel is going to play out. But it's more, you're going to see I'm no special person. It's the things that I do, like anybody could do, I believe. It just take a little bit of discipline and just believe in whatever process that you're going to set forward to yourself. And not going to be anything fancy or I'll call it breaking, but consistency is something that's well within our control, and everything else should follow. So that's one thing I would say you can't expect from me if I say I'm doing certain things, unless God forbid something happen health wise. I think more or less you would see me being like consistent. So I like things to be very repeatable and get a lot of reps, and that's why I don't like deviate and change too many things. Once I have a certain system in place, I just get as many reps as I can over a short period of time, and then do some sort of assessment to see are things really working, or I need to change course. So that's what you guys could expect from me, but I'm gonna wrap it up, and I'll post in the community or somewhere. I'm sure someone will probably help me out to tell me how to get information out, and you guys could kind of know like when I'm going live, and I'll put some sort of like structure to what you guys could expect in the next upcoming weeks. But just to let you guys know, it's mainly going to be about these countries and my experience over the next couple of weeks. I'll kind of give you guys some snippets, and then when I return back to the States, then you guys will get like a full review. But I'll try to post some snippets along the way so you guys could get some insights on how things are playing out. All right. So that's it, and yeah, appreciate you guys stopping by, and just turn your notifications on. You'll you hear from me. All right, take care. All right, peace.